Where had I come? Where had I landed? The sky was dark, the air was warm, and it had a sense and a smell of a different place, a different world. Those books connect me to people who are no longer here, who have gone before me, but they stay. The characters that they have created are part of me. That was a crystallizing light bulb moment where I thought, this is what's going to be important. It is going to be inspiring those to pick up a book who are not reading.
Welcome to Autobiography, the place where we meet individuals who've shaped the UAE. And today's guest is Isobel Abulhoul, the founder and trustee of Emirates Literature Foundation. Isobel Abulhoul, thanks so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
You moved here in 1968. This was pre-unification, pre-Emirates Airline, pre a lot of things and landmarks that we know today. Can you take me back to the first visit, the first time you set foot here in the UAE, what that felt like?
It was a magical moment, stepping off the plane, down the steps, into a completely different environment. It was warm, it was December, I'd left a cold, wet, grey Heathrow and arrived in Dubai, and there was sand under my feet. It smelt different. It was a new world, and I'd arrived. It was surreal because the only time you have sand under your feet in Europe, in UK, is when you go to the beach. And it was just, where had I come? Where had I landed? And the sky was dark, the air was warm, and it had a sense and a smell of a different place, a different world. And I just thought, oh my goodness, where am I? I have arrived in a different world. And so we went through this very small little, it was like a sort of a mini warehouse. You just went through and, you know, they looked at your passport and off you went into the dark night because there was very little light pollution. So I couldn't see much. Going to my family's home, which was in 𝐟𝐸𝐺, which is in the Dira side, it's over the other side of the creek where we are today. I was staying in the guest house of my brother-in-law's home in 𝐟𝐸𝐺. And the next morning I woke up excited and drew the curtains and looked out, and in the far distance I could see the sea, which again, there was just sand and sea, and then a donkey trotted past the window, and I pinched myself thinking, that am I dreaming? Am I really here? It was that kind of feeling that I had ended up in a tale of Arabia, but it was a real tale. So that was my first thing. I met my large family, and
For the first time?
For the first time, outside obviously of my husband. And it was so wonderful that not a single person ever had any negative feelings about me. Everyone welcomed me with open arms, and I could walk in this area. I was the only one who looked the way I looked, so I was odd. Yet that didn't matter. They came in the afternoons, that the ladies would sit round, we'd sit on the floor and we'd have 𝐾𝐿 and dates, and they would we'd try and converse. Not many ladies at that stage had English, and my Arabic was very limited then, but we managed, and through necessity I learnt to speak Arabic fairly quickly. And it was just wonderful, and the food was incredible. I loved the habit of sharing food, so there was no wastage, and I felt very ignorant about sustainability actually, because food was not wasted. And I have to say, I came from a home where, again, my parents really disliked food being wasted or any waste, But also here in Dubai, water was not wasted. Well, I came from Cambridge, where you just turned the tap on and left it, because we had a river running through Cambridge. So water we never felt was precious. But here I was in the desert, and water was very precious. And so that was something for me to learn. And the other thing was I loved all the seafood that we had fresh, and the sort of being exposed to a different culture that was different from my own, but no less important and no less humane about what it was telling us how to fit into a society.
Were you not nervous before coming here?
No, no. I don't think I'm naturally a nervous person. And I think that part of that is because I had spent so much time in books.
Well, even today, in an age where information is accessible anywhere, people still have so many misconceptions.
They do.
About this part of the world.
Thank God, I was given two things. One is a magazine, one is a book before I landed here, which helped shape my preconception, because there was no information about the Trucial States in 1968. But one of my mother's friends, gave me this. It's the National Geographic, July 1956. So that was, I was born then, but I was little. How they had it, where they kept it, but you know, people hoard things. Published in Washington, D.C. And this is all about this very little, you can imagine in 1956, he lived here for 6 years, and he took lots of photographs, but he absolutely loved the people and loved his time here. And when you read this, you understand the culture of Arabs, of Bedou Arabs, and how this has shaped the whole of the Emirates, going back centuries. They have this long line of ancestors. They have such a strong heritage of culture and hospitality and generosity. And that was what so impressed me when I came, the genuine way that they welcomed you and they cared about you.
And launching Emirates Lit, you not only attract international authors and speakers here, you very much have become an exporter of Arab culture. What did that look like then, and what does it look like now?
So I think things have changed dramatically, and it's all mirrored in the growth and the vision of the leadership, where they are very much focused on turning the cities and the country into a global place where we live in harmony, side by side, with 200 nationalities. So the last festival we had in February, we had 102 different nationalities attend. We know that, who bought tickets. We have a lot of 3 events, but that was those who bought tickets. And what was interesting was the biggest percentage were UK. Second is Emiratis, even though they're not the biggest number of people living in our society. They have adopted and love what the Lit Fest offers. And, you know, we have more and more Emirati writers who appear, and it's very much, it's a homegrown festival. Its roots are here in this country, and we want to bring together the writing community, be it illustrators, be it translators, be it fiction, non-fiction, fantasy, children's books are very important to us.
Do you remember any moments in the early days of Emirates Lit Festival where you realized this is going to be something really special?
I think the first year was so incredible. We had some wonderful authors attend, and the one that sticks most in my mind was the late Frank McCourt, who wrote Angela's Ashes. He was Irish, but lived in America, and he'd written this in his 60s after retiring as a teacher. It's a memoir. So moving. I still remember it, and I still cry when I think about, because it's his family's memoir. And he on the Sunday. So they sort of came, and the last day of the festival was Sunday, which in those days was a working day and a school day and a university day. So all of the authors who'd come in, I had asked them to go and speak to a college or a school. And I saw him in the morning. I was waiting while they were all going out across Dubai to spark readers. This was the whole point of it. And no other literary festival in 2009 were interested in doing things like that. So it wasn't how a literary, and I didn't know that because I'd never been to a literary festival. And we had also been the first in the region to invest in book selling software, which was revolutionary then.
But you've embedded the authors within the community.
Yes. So they all went out, and Frank McCourt said to me in his beautiful Irish accent, which I'm not going to try and mimic, he said, Isobel, what am I going to talk to these? We sent him to the High College of Technology, a women's college, a university college, to these young ladies. You know, I'm from Ireland, and it's Catholicism and it's drink and all these things. And I said, just be yourself, Frank. So he went out, and then we had all these other authors who were very nervous. They hadn't done anything like this. They'd given talks to the sort of the converted, if you like, those who were great readers, had read their books, but to young people who'd never come across them, never come across their books.
But you have to maybe convince, not the convinced.
He came back, and they all did. That has been the best experience. They were the most intelligent. They asked questions that no one else has ever asked me, and so on and so forth. So that was a crystallizing light bulb moment where I thought, this is what's going to be important. It is going to be inspiring those to pick up a book who are not reading. And so the letters, the early letters that we wrote to authors were, unlike other literary festivals around the world, we target those who have yet to fall in love with books. And that is still our target. If you have not found a book to set you alight, come along to the Lit Fest. We'll do our best to connect you with a writer and connect you with a book that's going to change your life. Books are life-changing. The last festival, I was stood where we have the festival, and we have dedicated days for Education Day. So we have maybe 2,000 students of all ages coming in on a school day to the festival, and they have education sessions at the festival, because there's something very nice if you're a student about getting out of school. It's exciting. On its own, it's exciting. You go on the bus, you sit next to your best friend, and we want them to enjoy it. And we choose a lot of children's authors for that enjoyment and that engagement. Anyway, I was stood there watching all these children. We've got the team there watching. They get on the bus safely. There's no lost children. And this little boy had, I think he had 20 dirhams in his hand, and he kept asking people. And I said, are you looking for something? And he said, I want to buy the book. I want to get that book. I've got this. And his name, I think, was Hisham. And I said, Hisham, which session? Because we had lots of sessions going on. He said he told me who the author was. I said, that's fine. Let's just tell your teacher so the bus doesn't go without. So I told her, I said to one of the team, go down and get this book now. And I took the 20 dirhams from him, so he contributed that. It cost a bit more, but that's nothing. And then he got a signed copy, and his face was the reward for me of the festival completely. That was it. I was done. It was the last day, and I thought, that's all I needed. This little boy was desperate to get that book because he'd seen the writer, and he made a connection. And again, it could be his first book, but he was not leaving without it. And it's rare you see that determination amongst a child. Our focus has always been on young people, the opposite of where other festivals may aim. They aim at those who are literate, those who read regularly, those who love reading. I'm not worried about you lot. You can come, you can enjoy it. We will make sure there's plenty for you. But I want to ensure that reading stays alive and well in our country, in our society, whereby 200 nationalities can come along to our literary festival. Again, that is not a normal statistic for literary festivals around the world. I've read several times that our literary festival is recognised as one of the top 5 in the world. Now, I'm not sure how they judge that, and that's what we hear back from authors. We loved your festival. We've never felt so well cared for. It was such an incredible experience. The audiences were so diverse and they were so intelligent in what they asked. So they're getting a different experience because we do want young people. They are our future. You know, some of us are past our sell-by date or not, but you've got to look, how do we keep this alive? How do we keep them engaged in having these life-changing experiences with books and with authors and making their critical faculties? So the brain, coming back to the research, so we have these universities that are following us with the Reading for Pleasure research, and they are looking at different aspects of how this experience of giving children more enjoyment with books and reading in the early years, how much this is benefiting them across all subjects. It's not just impacting on their Arabic and English, it's impacting across all subjects because they develop the critical thinking analysis. They know that they can have an opinion that's different. They do not need to always agree. They can agree to disagree with respect. They can use arguments. They've got the vocabulary.
So what's next for Emirates Lit Fest?
Just more. We're growing and growing and growing. So we're into our second year this year of having an international youth program at the festival, bringing university students from around the world, from top universities. I think we had maybe 30 different universities, representative of all continents, where students are studying Arabic. That is the common denominator. So we brought 150 students from around the world to the festival, and we brought 150 from the Emirates and put them together. Oh my goodness, it was beyond what I could have imagined. It was incredible. So every year we are looking how I'm a child at heart. I've never grown up and I don't want to grow up. So I think about things as a jigsaw puzzle. Which pieces are still missing? So we have plenty of pieces still to fill our jigsaw and to complete it. It's never going to be finished. So what we hope for the Emirates Literature Foundation, with the support of our incredible chairman, His Highness Sheikh Ahmed bin Zayed Al Maktoum, who has been an inspiration and a guiding light throughout all of this, and of course our patron and the person who set us on the path to have the Emirates Literature Foundation, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, who is a writer and a poet and has really had the vision to make sure that books and literature are valued so much in our country.
Are there still misconceptions about the Arab world that aren't coming through in literature?
I think so, and I think the problem is about publishing. I think publishing is to be tackled. So this is a young country, 50 years old, and we need to look at global publishing and what can we do here that is homegrown. And there are so many initiatives starting now that they take time. So we need to grow the publishing industry. We need to have all the different specialisms. So in my normal dreamlike way, I thought, I've been a bookseller, so I'm sure I can publish books. And I started a small children's publishing company called 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐿 Books, based on the Jerboa in the desert. And because I wanted books that represented children from here, living here, in their landscapes. And I couldn't find that. And I think it's really important that children see themselves. They also see the world, but they need to see themselves. They need to be represented. If we only read books that had boys in it, how would we feel? And it's the same with, you know, what colour our hair is, what kind of clothes we wear, what the landscape is. And remember, we're all human beings. No matter what language we speak, no matter where we're from, at heart, we are exactly the same.
Before I moved here, I didn't realize how popular and how, well, generationally embedded poetry is. And as you mentioned, the ruler himself is a poet. Do you think certain formats are more effective or easier in bridging generations?
I think poetry is. We always have a special evening dedicated to poetry. The thing about poetry, it is like music. It crosses and transcends boundaries. It does, definitely.
Are there any books you would say that really depict what the UAE or the Arab world is really about? Something that you think everyone should read before coming here?
Arabian Sands is still a book that I think anyone coming here should read to understand the culture and the heritage of this part of the world, because 𝐶𝐨𝐽 really did, and he understood that this hardship was at the heart of making the people here. I mean, we look at Dubai and the United Arab Emirates today. Who could have dreamt this is where we would be today? But out of this hardship, out of this longing by the leaders to give their people a better life, this was their determination, and they had determination and survival that we could not even imagine. Because if you can survive in one of the harshest environments in the world, you can survive anywhere, and you can also find solutions.
Absolutely. And final question, what is next for you? What's next for Isobel?
What's next for me? I live in the moment. I live in my dreams. So I have to say, I dream about being a writer, but it may only ever be a dream. But there's nothing wrong with dreaming. Dreams are what make us wake up in the morning. I dream all the time. The point is, we're sitting here talking, and that's lovely, but do I want to commit it to paper? Do I, that maybe for the first time in my life, there is a fear factor. I said to you, I'm not afraid, but maybe that is a fear factor. And that's fine, that's fine. It's a dream, and it may come true, but it may not. And until then, I am very busy with all the things that go on in my life. How lucky at my age that I have so much to do, so much to keep me excited. Every morning I wake up and I think, I'm meeting you today. I'm meeting the wonderful team here today. I haven't met you before, and it's always about people. In the end, it is about people. And those books connect me to people who are no longer here, who have gone before me, but they stay. The characters that they have created are part of me. They can never leave me because they feel like they are there within my soul. They are lodged there, and I can remember them always.
Isobel Abulhoul, this has been a magical conversation. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.